You're welcome to Business Daily on Trust TV. I'm your host, Chamun Dabeng. Let's talk numbers. We're starting off with the market as of 6 a.m. this morning. You're welcome back to the show. Once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng, and today we're going to be talking about energy transition. While the rest of the world are making plans to move towards more sustainable and cleaner energy. Now, this transition from fossil-based systems of energy to zero-carbon system was something that was actually bound to happen. Now, what this means is a move of energy production and consumption from sources that emit greenhouse gases to other sources that are more environment friendly. Now, most of the world's energy is generated from fossil or carbon-based fuels, which accounts for about 85% of the energy used globally. Now, well, along with the rest of the world, Nigeria has jumped on the bandwagon of cleaner energy and plans to have completed the transition by 2060. Now, the question is, what does the country stand to lose or gain by making this transition? Joining me in the studio today is financial expert Aderoju Basoro. You're welcome to the show.
Morning.
Clean energy, it has become a very big discussion. I mean, SDG 7, it's been one of their itineraries, and, just creating that cleaner energy so people live a healthier, better life. It's consuming less energy. What do you think about that move? For Nigeria, we plan to make that move by 2060. Do you really see it coming into fruition by then?
Maybe I should start with to answer your questions first before what I say what I think. Do I see it coming to fruition? No. Our government is not, they're not ready. By 2050, the committee of parties involved in climate change had decided that by 2050 there will be zero emission of carbon. To do that first, you have to have a policy. What does that mean? For you to have zero carbon emission means all those vehicles that are released on the road, they have to be gotten rid of.
Yeah.
All those old ACs and fridges that release certain emissions have to be gotten rid of. Are we ready? No. Are we planning to be ready? No. So that's the answer to that question. It's unfortunate, but that's a reality.
So you don't think that 60 years from now, even as of then, that this dream or this...
2050 is 29 years away. It's going to creep up on us like a thief in the night. A friend of mine made a statement, said if we want to impact a 10-year-old, start 10 years ago. If you want to affect things in 2050, start 2010. Because it's going to take a lot of generational...
it's 2060, by the way. That's the plan for Nigeria. Along with Saudi Arabia also has that same time frame.
I mean, that's what we've chosen, maybe because we are OPEC countries. But, I mean, the Committee of Nations, the COP nations, as they call them, they are under the Paris Agreement, agree that by 2050, there should be zero emission. By 2030, I think by 2030, they say about 45% emissions should be stopped. So, but all this needs, for instance, I was reading some time ago that there was supposed to be a climate change bill to be passed. And because of the usual politicking, and the guys don't see the essence of what the bill was supposed to do. The bill was supposed to empower everything about climate change and its effects, from renewable energy to carbon markets to carbon credits to the benefits that should accrue from this, because it's a new life. Let me use that word. It's a life as we know it is going to change.
It's not only a change from the the governmental aspect; it's also change in the life of the people themselves.
They're going to change. Unfortunately, we're going to play catch up if we keep moving at this point, at this pace. Sorry, we're going to play catch up for the Western. For instance, I think France has decided by 2030, fossil fuel cars will not be on the road anymore. Oh, where do we stand? Oh, we don't even make cars. Okay, so we have to. They come and dump the fossil fuel cars on us. So we emit more. Then what happens? We don't get to meet our targets. What is government planning to do? Because all this has to be backed up by law. We're not going to change from fossil fuel to renewable energy or clean energy because we wish it. No. That's a deliberate effort to get that done.
So when the statement was made, was it more of a, okay, because other people are saying it, let's also say the same thing? Or I don't...
Do you really want me to answer that? See, okay, let's put it this way. You put square pegs in round holes. The guys who are there, it's like more like political appointees who, whether we like it or not, don't listen to technocrats. Because really nobody's benchmarking or watching their performance, or nobody's sticking them for anything. So they go there, just say what they feel like saying. There's a former minister of finance, state for finance. He's an old friend of mine. We had a seminar some years back and he made a statement. It was on power. And he said, do you know that that he regrets something they did during the regime of an ex-president? Let me just like, we don't start guessing who the person is. And I said, say why? He said they went to China on a business trip with the president. And they got to China. And the Chinese gave them a workable plan to for electrification of the whole Nigeria in 24 months. They gave them that. They're not going to remove the grid. They're going to run the parallel, to make... And of course, everybody's selfish. The Chinese are not doing it because they like you.
Yeah.
It's because, it's
business.
It's for their benefits. So they threw it to the Nigerian contingent, and Nigerian contingent with the president and its advisors, of which my friend was one of them, said that they went back into the back room and they had discussions. What discussion about? Are these guys for real? Are you sure? They must have something they're hiding from us. And they must have something they're hiding from us without seeing the big picture. Made them forfeit that opportunity. Do you understand? So when you're saying a government official comes out to make a statement, they don't have any. It doesn't pitch them anyhow. They just say it. It's not just saying; it's doing the right things to make it happen. Okay, you want to stop carbon emission and you want to make everything green by 2060 in Nigeria's case. What are you doing? What laws are you putting in place? What environments are you creating to enable investors and stakeholders come in line with your policy statements? We just sit down and wait. And I remember growing up, the year 2000 was very long time away, and all the Nigerian problems was also solved when Nigeria clocked 40.
Then there was the 2020
2020
vision.
Came up, and
anyway, to be fair, there was the pandemic.
I like what you're saying, but the pandemic was global. Thank God it wasn't only Nigeria. How come we're similar the ones that are a bit worse off for it? It's because we don't plan. When we don't plan, we're failing already. So this issue of 2060 targets for zero carbon emission, I think we're just joking. Except something is done now. Let me give you a peep. By the economists globally, it's said that the world will need at least 5.2 trillion investment in infrastructure to enable clean energy emission target to be made by 2050. Did you get that? $5.3 trillion of investment in infrastructure, not in their complement, so in infrastructure to enable us meet that target of zero emission by. That's in the next 2-3 decades, about $180 trillion. That money is not going to come out from the sky. People have to be prepared so that when the money is coming out, it's channeled through you. I mean, it's like
now that figure is specific to Nigeria's costs.
No. Okay. Global. It's a global thing. I don't want to. I mean, what are the facts that we're going to deal with to even know what we need here? Because there's no policy, there's no plan, there's no.
Well, there was a cost that was actually thrown out, and it says that it will cost Nigeria $400 billion in order to make this happen.
Where did you get that from? For people who don't have an understanding of what it even takes. The world's richest man today is a clean energy person. What's his name?
Tesla.
The Tesla guy.
Elon Musk.
He's rich because he's doing clean energy, because that's what the world is leaning to. There's a demand. You create the market. But if you don't understand what it takes to create the market, you don't understand, you don't have the laws. I mean, you can't create the market without the enabling laws and environment. What are we talking about? So let's stop the political, what do you call it, dressing. Realistically, we're not ready. I think the Ministry of Environment was trying to push for that climate change bill to be passed before COP26 in Glasgow. They couldn't. Why? Maybe they can answer, the National Assembly can answer them themselves. So we're just dancing around in the market square. That's what we're doing. If Nigeria is serious about meeting this target, we ought to have started 10 years ago. As they say, the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is today.
Yeah.
So if you're serious, we should pick up the gauntlet and run with it. Because maybe because we don't see the essence. It would have been
nice to start seeing like little changes or little statements being made that these are the things that we're expected to see in the next couple of years.
And put things in place. Put things in place. What does it mean for us as a country when the world is going green and we're still using fossil fuel? Nobody has sat down to think that. There are so many good, great brains in the public service. Either omission or commission, nobody's pushing what should be pushed. Nobody is. And it's unfortunate. Maybe because we think it's a Western thing. We think it's the Nairobi people, they suffer harm. No. The ozone layer has been depleted. The poles are melting. I mean, glaciers as big as continents.
But even when we talk about climate change, there have been arguments that climate change is really not even a thing.
Yeah, the same way they say COVID is not a thing.
Sure.
But people are dying by it. So the fact that I agree that the sun will rise doesn't stop the sun from rising. I don't have to believe it. I don't have to agree with it. But every morning the sun will rise. Is our atmosphere, our climate. I say, guys, let's even look at it. And growing up, I used to know that the rainy season lasted from a period to a period. You know that temperatures were this. You know that Harmattan started from a period to a period. Which is constant today. And you think that's just spiraling out of control for no reason? What do you call it? I think it's one of Newton's laws says a body will continually be in a state of rest or in continuous motion except impacted upon by the external force. Things just don't happen. Something triggers it.
All right, so let's take a look at the oil sector itself, because there are quite a few arguments saying that, okay, because Nigeria is a very oil-dependent nation and we are one of the largest producers and also the largest producer in Africa, can we really afford to make that move? But also, before we even get to that, the oil boom that Nigeria had experienced back in the 70s or so, about 60 years ago, did we really even take advantage of that when it happened?
No, we did not. If you check the countries of the world that are major oil producers, Saudi Arabia said by 2030, their oil sector will not be their major income earner. I mean, we're all aware of that. Ours Who is doing that positioning? What's the plan? Then wake up in the morning, tomorrow morning and say it doesn't pay us because we didn't plan for it. Nigeria's made a lot of money from fossil fuel. We're still going to make a lot. Oh, by the way, this transition is not going to happen, in my opinion, in 100 years. Complete.
For Nigeria or the
Globally,
rest of the world?
Globally. You're not going to eradicate the fossil fuels because you just wish it away. No. The transition is going to evolve into, lack of a better word, into some more manageable position between fossil and renewable. Investment in the fossil fuel industry. I mean, fossil fuel is not just oil.
Yeah.
We're talking coal, we're talking gas, natural, or, all those investments are not just going to disappear from the earth. But one thing you should note is this, or you should have noticed, the big companies globally, the big guys, the big oil majors, the Totals, the Shells, the Chevrons, the Ajip, have you noticed that even their own public speak is not about fossil fuel? Total goes total energy.
Yeah.
They've now incorporated renewable energy, wind, solar, hydro into their speak. Do you understand? We, as a country, our oil industry will be affected. Why? Because basically exports. We export out when the demand is not there anymore. What are you exporting? Are you going to drink your fuel? Or are you going to drink your crude? I don't know. Yeah. It's going to affect us. I mean, I can't even begin to, the implication of this thought alone, it's mind-numbing for me.
All right, so you don't think that, okay, because there have been a lot of discussions about diversification of the Nigerian economy, people moving into entrepreneurship, moving into tourism, moving into agriculture, and, there've been talks about spreading it out to different sectors in order to bring in more income to the country, and also mineral resources, exploration and mining and all of that. These are all things that have been discussed. So even if we, go into all of this, I mean, doesn't it help us in some way to start to make that move from fossil fuels to renewable energy?
Are we going to renewable energy is the question. Nigeria is so blessed. That is, I mean, sometimes I wish I could be God to understand what the problem is. We're so blessed, as one of my friends will tell you, we're so blessed that our natural disaster is leadership. Nigeria, we have wind. There's a country, I can't remember which of them now, that harvests wind energy from the seas. I mean, tell me how impossible that is. We have solar. You and I,
lots of sun.
I mean, we're talking of a few seconds ago about sun burning our skins and all that stuff. Harvest that. Create infrastructure. Create solar farms. And Morocco has the largest solar farm in Africa. I mean, it's thousands of kilometers. We have the Sambisa that we're talking about. Let government overrun it, take it over from whoever is there, and establish a farm there, and generate that back into the system. Those are things that can compensate for our withdrawal from fossil fuel at the point. Those things, those measures, but those things cannot be. We can't move forward until we trace where we're coming from. We need to put in place laws to enable this happen. We need to put in place laws to enable this happen. For instance, the American government put in place a green bond market some time ago. What does it mean? Basically, where they go to buy what they call carbon credits.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, we're trying to stop global emission by so and so date. For that, industrialization will need to step down their emissions. You and I know that they won't, because they need to keep producing. So for those of us,
cheaper for them, not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, can imagine you have to spend billions of dollars to convert your systems. I better go to the market and buy the credit of somebody who is not emitting. Do you understand? So, for instance, Nigeria doesn't emit much. So players in the Nigerian sector have access to that credit. Then these guys come to buy. So it's like, I'm buying your prayers. If you understand what I'm saying. I'm paying for you to pray for me.
Okay.
That's literally what it means. That's what the carbon market, that's how simple I can make, I can put it across. So we have that. That's in billions of dollars. The American government, I think, created market worth about $1 trillion or $3 trillion. Who's looking at that from here? Investors, finance people. That's a market for us to plug into. So the clean energy thing, the renewable energy thing is not just localized. Do you understand? It's a global thing.
Yeah.
So we should create enabling laws that protect us in this race, because it's a race. You can imagine now the Western Europe is telling you can't come in here with fossil fuel.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to all the infrastructure that's been garnered over the decades, over the scores of years? They're going to push it somewhere. They're going to dump it on us. How does that impact us? Nobody's looking at that.
And the impact, it goes way beyond just the economy.
Yeah,
you also have to consider the lives of the masses.
Yeah, the welfare of the masses. If you pollute your air more, I'm trying to remember which state now. I think it was somewhere down south. They closed schools for a few weeks because the air was polluted. And several times in the news, you see Sooth in Parakot.
Yeah.
In Lagos, there
have been quite a plethora of lawsuits against oil companies around that Niger Delta region because there is consistent degradation of their land, of their waters, of their air. And it's something that they've had to deal with because it not only affects the land, it also affects their health.
People, yes. So what is government putting in place to help us see the light? Because if we don't, we'll keep whining.
And the best thing about, like you said, we're very blessed in this country because there is a lot that we can actually harness in order to replace or at least start to make that move towards renewable energy. Yeah. Because, there are countries that are even buying trash from other nations in order to create energy. Rather than using fossil fuels or oil or any of that. They are trying to create alternatives. And even looking at the streets of Nigeria, you can walk past one area and there's trash everywhere.
That's money lying down there.
That's money lying down there, like you said.
There was, I know there used to be something about the ecological fund. It's supposed to protect the environment. So, that was created by a policy of government. So you can imagine what effect government policies can go to affect certain things in life. Now, the ecological fund was meant to, what is that fund used for regularly? It's a war chest for whoever's in charge. Nobody's held to account for what has been spent, for what, because there's no direction. I don't know why I keep going back to this issue of laws guiding and creating.
Because at the end of the day, it's literally the most important thing is the fact that the government has to come out and put these things in place for the rest of the country to follow. So if it's not there,
if you keep mouthing, we want to stop emission by 2060 because all your neighbors are saying the same thing. What are you doing? It's like a man saying, I'm going to protect my family from armed robbers. I'm going to protect my family from armed robbers. Yes, by December, we know armed robbers crime might increase. We're going to protect our family from. Meanwhile, your neighbors are building fences. Your neighbors are installing CCTV. Your neighbors are declustering their houses. The neighbors are making sure that environments are clean. They are clearing bushes. You're just saying that and still living in your state and expect something to happen? No.
All right, so my next question is this. Now, Nigeria is not, it's a country that has literally been plagued by electricity crisis. This is not something that is unknown. It's factual. A lot of people have come out to talk about the lack of electricity in their own homes. As a matter of fact, we still have 25 million homes that are not connected to the grid as we're speaking now. And even the plan for 2050, the plan for 2050 is to actually get 25 million homes running on renewable energy, which to me is quite small looking at the amount of people that we have in this country now. But either way, making the move to to renewable energy, would it help to sort of fix the electricity crisis that we consistently find ourselves in?
One of the benefits that will accrue to us when we, apart from the carbon emission reduction and all that, is diversify sources of business, of revenue. It's going to open up the economy. Will it affect our drive for electrification of Nigeria? I don't think it will. I don't think it will.
Okay.
What do I mean? Basically, we are going from a source of generation
To another
to B source of generation. So what happens after it's been generated is not the issue. Is the issue, sorry. It's not what is being generated. What do I mean? We have different sources of power generation. If you're going to go away from fossil fuel, the clean energy, the solars, the wind, the water, the lithium-ion batteries, I mean, which research is going on globally to make it usable on a bigger scale, right? That will reduce the emission. Now, for us as Nigerians, us as a people, will it affect us? One of the things that we can put in place for it not to affect us is to enable, by the laws, again, to enable off-grid generation. I mean, there was a time I was talking to some business partners in Croatia. I mean, Croatia, a small country in Europe. They wanted to come and they were into power and housing. The project was to build a self-sustaining gated community, what we call estate here. That will generate its own power, and the people of living in that community will use that power. But the enabling laws were not there. For you to generate anything in Nigeria of commercial quantity, you have to be registered with them. And we're talking about generation of things like 2 megawatts, not big. Something that can power a 10, 15 units block of apartments.
All right. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time. But yes, based on the discussion, there is a lot that the government can actually do to make that transition. It's actually a good thing for us to make that transition. But you have to find the technical know-how. You have to explore these options properly before you decide to make that transition, and make sure that it's a consistent and continual and stable thing. I think that's the word.
Sustainable.
For sustainable. Yes, sustainable thing for the people. All right. So we've come to the end of our show for today. But let me thank my guests in the studio. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Always
and
a
to all our
privilege
viewers out there, thank you so much for watching. Do remember to follow us on all our social media platforms. Look for us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Just check up Trust TV News and you'll definitely find us there. Well, once again, my name is Chamun Dabeng. Come back again for more Business Daily. Let's talk numbers.